Hey guys, my name's Gary. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict, and I'm going to give you my personal experience with step five. Step five is admitted to God, to ourself, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Okay, so in step four, I laid out, you know, um, here's what I did. In step four, I remember in 2002, I did this whole fucking huge inventory, and I do it differently now. I do the inventory as I need it, and as it comes up in in sobriety. Uh, but in 2002, I did it like the format. I had a couple of crimes on there that I had committed. Nothing major, nothing I'd go to jail for or anything like that. But um, you know, and then I had harmed some people. I harmed a person doing something stupid. Um, physically fighting with somebody. And what else? I had a lot of sexual stuff on there. I had cheated on my wife, and see that really bothered me because I was married. We were together like 10 years, and we were together actually like 11 or 12 years, but we were married 10, and I never cheated on her until I started doing drugs, and I drank for like a year. I had relapsed and drank for like a year, and then I got into drugs. So I had a lot of like affairs and sexual behavior, and I'd have these fucking wild parties and at my office and stuff like that, and just I spent like money. I remember her coming to me. I got like a $40,000 check one time, and she was coming to me like a couple weeks later asking for like money for groceries and stuff like that. Because I remember she came down to my work. She's like, I need money for groceries for the house, and it's like I was out of money. And I just lived recklessly once I started doing drugs, and so that kind of heavy shit bothered me. It's like not providing well for my family, um, and all that stuff that I hated myself for. And then I remember he had me format it too, because I was like just dumping all this shit on him because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And then, I listed resentments, you know, uh, there were stupid resentments because, I mean, even though I had resentments with her and stuff like that, I was the one fucking up the whole marriage. I'm the one that wasn't coming home every night, and I was the one, having girlfriends and all that stuff. And, you know, the marriage can't even fucking succeed unless, there's two people trying. So that's the stuff that really hit my inventory. And I'm selfish because I spent the money on partying instead of spending it on my kids and the groceries and, stuff that really ate at me because I think I'm a pretty solid character. Like, I was raised by some really good people, and, I kind of grew up around my dad and work environment. Like from a little kid, I'd always go to work whenever I could with my dad. And, there was guys that knew my dad for like 25, 30 years. And these guys all raised me in the field and taught me the trade, and my uncle was there, my dad was there, my grandpa was there, and these are all pretty solid characters, man. And they had morals and families, and you know, and I knew I wasn't living up to my end of the bargain in the marriage, and then my own personal values, my value system, and those are the things that bothered me. Everybody's different, sexual stuff and stuff like that is just, it doesn't, that stuff doesn't really bother me. I've always been kind of open about that stuff, and my kids always, I never hid a lot. I was never a real secretive person. I didn't hide a lot of stuff from my kids or anything like that. My kids saw the girls come in and out, and when we split up, Dad had a lot of girlfriends. They knew that, and it's just all that stuff, and then I knew my kids were pissed at me, and I felt so fucking guilty, man. And it was, so he had me reformat that where Mr. Brown is, or the guy's resentful at Mr. Brown. Well, he said, why don't you write a resentment list on yourself? So after I shared all this shit with him, and that list was the longest motherfucking list. That was, if I was resentful of my wife, it was like a couple things on there, nags or, whatever. I'm not bringing her fucking shit into this because it doesn't have anything to do with her. It has to do with me. We all, I was in a marriage. Of course, we got pissed at each other all the time. Who knows what it was that day? You know what I mean? But I was just selfish and self-centered. So, but that resentment list on me is where I really got to take a good look at how much I hated myself. And I remember he sat me down and he goes, do you believe in God? And I did. And he goes, first of all, God alone can judge you. You can't judge yourself. You have to stay out of that shit. And who are you to hate God's handiwork? And if you're powerless, no, you know what he asked me? I remember he said, are you powerless over drugs and alcohol? And I said, well, yeah. Of course, that's why we're fucking doing this. And he goes, well, how can you hate yourself for being powerless if you don't have any power over this disease? You're just coming to grips with it. You're just finding out how powerless you are and how unmanageable your life really is. Look at this. Look at it on paper. Look at this unmanageability and look at this powerlessness that you had over drugs and alcohol, and look what it's done to your life. And how can you hate yourself for being powerless? Would you hate yourself if you had cancer and you had to go to chemotherapy? So it makes sense, and I believed everything that came out of his mouth, man, because this was a guy that I trusted with my deepest, darkest secrets, right? And the marriage didn't make it, okay? And I stayed sober many years after that, almost 10 years, and I was in a relationship with another woman, and this woman tested my boundaries. It was like somebody I'd never been out with before, and I still had, my ex-wife, and still had the kids, and, we split custody and all that stuff, and my middle son, Brandon, lived with me a lot of the time, and I was a pretty good dad, I wasn't available a lot emotionally, or how do I say that? I was there with them physically, but not a lot of times present mentally, because I was so wrapped up in me. And that's another thing I would feel guilty about, because I would see my kids getting older, and but me and this connection with this other man was unbelievable. And he asked me to he said, you wrote all these things out, and have you talked to God? Have you had a talk with God about these? I was like, no. And he goes, well, get quiet. Find a place where you can get quiet and talk to God about this stuff, and then we'll talk about it, right? And that's what I did. I read my list to God, and then I read my list to him. And I remember him telling me, because we come in, we hate ourselves so much because we've fucked our lives up. And I remember him saying, here's what I want you to do. And I thought he was nuts. He said, I want you to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and get some 1,000 thread count sheets. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, or whatever kind of sheets you love to fucking wrap yourself in. And I'm like, a sheet's a fucking sheet. I had no idea, you know. My wife took care of all that shit before, and I don't know fucking sheets, you know. He goes, so go to the store and find out, you know, Egyptian cotton 1,000 thread count sheets, you know. So I did that. So I think I went to Bed Bath & Beyond or one of those fucking girly girl stores, and I went to checking out 1,000 thread count sheets, and I started feeling them, and I was like, damn, this shit's fucking nice, right? And then I was like, damn, they're expensive too, right? So, okay, I call him up. I got these fucking sheets, right? He goes, all right, go put them on your bed, man. And, you know, put them on your bed and wrap yourself in them. Get nice and clean and wrap yourself in those sheets. Take it easy. Learn how to fucking take care of you. He goes, the next thing I want you to do is, on Friday night, I want you to take your, no, he didn't say take yourself. He goes, I want you to go see, go take to dinner and a movie. And I was like, all right, I mean, that's weird, but that's fine. I'll go to dinner and a movie. And I was thinking, like, you know, with, you know, the girl I was seeing, and he's like, no, with nobody. You go to dinner by yourself and go to a movie by yourself. And I was like, that's fucking depressing. Like, what if somebody sees me? That's where I was at fucking mentally and emotionally. Yeah, I do that shit all the time. I don't give a fuck anymore. I spend most of my life doing that shit now. I'm being alone, go to dinner. I just got back from dinner by myself. I went to an AA meeting and went to dinner and came home. Sat down, had dinner. That was so weird to me. You know, I didn't know how to take care of myself, how to be alone with myself. You know, and this is all from sharing my stuff with another man, and another man that walked before me. And believe me, there's more to this relationship with this person that you're going to share step 5 with than just that one day you're going to unload on him. You're going to develop a relationship with this guy. Sometimes you might have to go through 2 or 3 of these people, you know, until you find the right one that speaks your language, and that you trust. And I got to tell you, I didn't trust anybody. I just wanted to hang out with the girls when I got to AA. I didn't want to hang out with the dudes. They got nothing for me. And now it's like the opposite, you know. It's not the opposite, but because I'm actually very close with a woman right now. It's straight up friendship. You know, she's a beautiful woman, and you know what? I have a lot more respect for AA and the program and the 12 steps, and I'm in a different place than I was back then. And like I said, this thing with my son that happened too, it's like you learn a whole different respect. I've learned a whole different respect for human beings and just life in itself and time. And we never know how much time we're gonna have. So I don't know if any of this makes sense, but I bonded so well with this man. He knew my secrets. I have no secrets today from him. I could tell him anything. And like I said on the last video, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, you know, because we don't live next to each other anymore. You know, we live in 2 different states, but when we talk, he's been really sick with, you know, he's fighting cancer and some other stuff. And, you know, he's got his health issues, and, you know, I've got other men that I do this stuff with also, good friends, 30 years of sobriety, that know me for 20 years. And these guys I trust, and I've never been one to take someone's advice. I've always had to find out for myself. I'm at a point in my life right now in doing step fives with other guys that I trust. I fucking listen when they say to do something. And there's been times where I'm talking to my buddy Scott, when him and I, we don't talk every morning, but we talk probably 4 or 5 days a week, right? And I've been grabbing on to what he's saying, like, fuck yeah, and listening to every word. Okay, okay. I remember, you know, I was being a dickhead at work, and whatever, justified or not, and I thought, I'm gonna so I unload this shit on him, and I was sick that day. I called in sick. I don't know. I think I was just pissed and going through shit with my son, and it was just not a good day to go to work. I didn't feel well, and I was doing battle with this person at work, and he said, what's your part in it? I don't know, because my part is they're an asshole. That's about what I could come up with. And he's like, come on, man, get real. I'm like, what's your part in this whole thing? And I went through it with him, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm afraid this person's going to try to make me look bad. And they've tried. They tried today. But, I go in and I do a hard day for the company. I do the best job I can do. I don't say don't ever make mistakes, but I've done pretty well for this company. And I do make mistakes, but not a whole lot. And, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. So I told him my part, and then he goes, well, why don't you go drive to work and go make an amends? And I drove 33 miles or something like that. That day, it was my day off. I was going to lay in bed. And I drove into the office and gave an amends. And, that person isn't going to change. But I've changed a little bit with that amends. Not a whole lot, but I'm working on it still. Some things hard to let go. See, I've been this way for so long, it's hard to just let it go and let God control this thing. And it's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot better. And we can't, be helpful to everybody. Some people you just can't help. I don't even know if any of this shit makes sense, you guys, but I'm super tired. I got up at 3:30 this morning and, attempted a half-assed workout, and then I worked an incredibly long, hard day today, and there was people trying to throw me under the bus. It was a contractor at work trying to kick me under the bus and say I did a poor job they actually got the owner of the company involved, and I've done a great job for this company. I've got the company's back. I've had the company's back on this whole thing, and we've got all the emails and stuff to back it up. So I haven't made any mistakes. I didn't drop the ball, and that's what they were saying I did. What I was doing was I was just giving them information that they didn't want to hear. They didn't want to hear that their project's not going to be done when we're going to get the product to him. And so they took that as he's not responding to me. And they called my boss and said, yeah, he's not responding to us properly. And I was just telling them the way it was. So, and I learned to tell the truth, and I told them the truth, and they didn't like the truth. And I'm working harder to get it and, get the product there quicker. That's all I can do. And it's hard to do that for people that are kicking you under the bus. But, it talked in that fourth step that we did. We try to look at it from an entirely different angle. And I've tried to do that. And I realize these guys are trying to put a job together. They were hired by a big company to build this building. And they need their product in. And I'm in charge of that job as far as, delivering on time. And even though we've done everything that we said we're going to do and everything, we've hit all our dates, there's a manufacturer involved, and the manufacturer's not getting the product out in time. And I didn't have to, if this thing was going down and I was drinking and using, this thing would have my fucking name all over it. And it didn't have my name on it. And it felt weird. It felt like I had to defend myself at first. And you do have to sometimes at work. You gotta, my boss was saying, well, did you send this email? Yeah. Did you let them know this? Yeah. Did you let them know that? Yes, I did. Is it in writing? Yes. So all this stuff was there, but it felt like I was being, questioned, or well, I was being questioned. It's their company, But, I didn't have to get defensive because I didn't do anything wrong. And what a nice feeling that was. And I say that humbly. I don't, the credit goes to AA and the stuff that I've been doing in this thing. And I want to get fired up. There's that's in me, but I didn't have to. And I'm learning. And I work around, like the owner of my company he's pretty methodical, He's not a fucking, da, 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 da. I mean, he does his, he runs a big company. He can be intimidating if he wants to, he's a good business guy. But he doesn't do that shit with me. But he's methodical. So he said, okay, here, they're complaining about this. Have we done this? Have we done this? Have we done this? Did you explain this? Yes, 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 yes. Great. When you get to the office in the morning, shoot me those emails and I'll have some, ammo. And real professional, man. Didn't lose his cool, He was sick today. He wasn't feeling good. He's out of town, doing work that he usually doesn't have to, do. He's not out running jobs, and he's out doing that today and last few days. And he's not feeling well. And I felt, at the end of the call, I just said, hey, I'm not saying names. I'm fucking wearing this shirt and shit. It's no big deal, but I am who I am. And I got to say, because I felt bad. So that's looking at it from an entirely different angle. And when you can keep your cool and you don't have to defend yourself and you're just doing your job, I was able to say, hey, I'm sorry I had to get involved in this, man. And I meant that. And I felt bad because he doesn't really, that's why he hired me. And people aren't getting their way and people can be nasty. And I understand they're just trying to get their job done and trying to rattle our cage and so we can get the product there quicker. We're all just trying to get through the day and be better people and make money, and not lose money. But yeah, so that's, it'd be a totally different thing. And the way I got to that, to where I'm at right now, is a lot of this writing and those inventories and sharing about them with another human being. And I do a lot of that back and forth, man, with other men on the phone and women. Like I said, there's a woman in my life right now. I tell her myself all the time. And I try to do that for her. And first of all, it clears away. I don't have any secrets, on my behavior. Like I checked in with her today. I got a message, hey, how are you doing today? Or whatever. And I let her know, or maybe did I send her? Who fucking knows? But I let her know in a message. I said, I haven't told anybody to fuck off today. And it's right there if I want to. And I haven't misbehaved. And, yeah. So it's been a good day. So, I don't know. Fuck, I don't even know if this shit makes sense. I'm so tired right now. But it's, I don't even know what time it's 9:25. So I went to work. I got up early, had attempted a workout at 3:30 or 3:40 in the morning. Went to a job site, dealt with a superintendent, went to another job site. Then the roof started coming off the place with a crazy contractor yelling and screaming. Um, me proving myself right, or not even right, just, that I've done my job well. And um, I rushed, I left the job site at like 4:30, quarter to 5. I got to the meeting 10 minutes early, and I led the meeting today, and it was a good meeting. We read We Agnostics, and it's a great chapter. But I had a good day today, good AA day, and I'm wrapping it up with a video on step 5. So find that person that you can get that stuff out with, and develop that relationship, develop that bond, that friendship. It's just important, because this is what's going to save your life. A lot of times when I've been in a really bad place with my sponsor, my best friend, right? I've been in situations where I'm fucking shaking, pissed off. And I remember driving through bad parts of town going, oh my God, I'm in danger of getting some dope. And I called him once, and I go, I'm not feeling good, man. I'm in a bad part of town. I used to do some shady shit here, this. And he goes, well, do you have a good reason for being there? Yes. I've got business here. And he goes, okay, well, if the book says, if you've got good reason for being there, and you've done the 12 steps, so you're protected. Don't worry about it. I am? Yeah. The book says you've chose to live your life by the book. And he was right. And I was like, that was such a relief. I was like, okay, so I'm protected? And he's like, yeah, go about your day. It says you can go anywhere. You can even walk into bars. You can go anywhere anyone else can go, as long as you have good reason for being there. That was a big thing that he told me, and I believed him. And it was right. He's right. Because I've been in weddings, bars, all kinds of shit where alcoholics, shouldn't go, right? But I remember one time I was at my sister's. We had identical glasses. She had a glass of vodka on ice. I had a glass of water on ice. She walked away with my glass, and I grabbed hers, and I went gulp, gulp. Holy shit! And I went, whoa. And it was vodka. And I'm at like 3 or 4 years sober, and I feel the warm and fuzziness going down my belly. And I did, it was a hot day. It was like Easter Sunday, I believe it was. And I went gulp, gulp, oh my God. And I called him in a panic. Like instantly, instant speed dial. Like, I just drank vodka, 2 gulps. Do I go throw up? What do I do? He's like, no, that's happened to me before too. I grabbed somebody else's drink. He goes, are you okay? I mean, do you feel like it's going to set the phenomenon of craving loose in you? I go, no, I'm just scared shitless. Like, do I have to recheck my date? He's like, no, you don't have to recheck your date. Did you try to drink that? No, I thought it was water. Well, then, you know what? You got a freebie, man. Go about your day. Just forget about it. We want to make things bigger than they are. And that could be a big thing, but it just wasn't. He went through it again. I'm protected. He was the first. Listen, I was with a woman, right? We were madly in love with each other. She was my soulmate. Met her in AA. She had 7 years. I had 4 or 5. She had a food allergy, and she went into full cardiac arrest and died in my arms. And while the ambulance is pulling up, and then we put her on the ground, they rip her shirt open. They got her trach tubed. They're working on her, and my first call was to him. So that's the kind of relationship we developed. When I got to the hospital, I was in the ER, and the doctor that ran Hoag Hospital had a team of people working on her. Shirts off. They're giving her the electric shock. Her body's coming off the table. She's completely flatlined. And I had called him when the ambulance was coming. I said, Elizabeth's in full cardiac arrest. Meet me at Hoag Hospital, that's where we're going. And she was laying on the table. And he said, okay, I'm going to call it. And he called whatever time of day it was. And he said, he put his arm on my shoulder. And he said, son, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to call it. And I said, what do you mean? It was like too much to deal with. He said, son, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to call it her time of death. And I grabbed him by the throat. And I said, you better fucking start getting busy and do something here. And my friend had come in, my sponsor, and he came in from behind me, and he, came in from behind me and held me, and he whispered in my ear. He said, Gary, he's on our side. Come back down to earth, man. He's on our side. He's been trying to help save her life. And I didn't even know he came in the room. And I immediately, when I heard that voice, I came down, because I would have killed the man. I was in shock, and I was going through my, whatever I do, I got that ugliness inside me when I'm afraid. And that was a hard night. So she actually came back. Her heart rate came back, but they put her on life support. We had to unplug it 3 days later. That was a really tough thing to go through. But I went through it sober. But anyways, that man has been with me through many times, hard times. I've spent many times crying to him on the telephone, and vice versa. The friendship was made. And I love him. I love him in a way where he's taught me everything I know with this Alcoholics Anonymous, So he's taught me this way of life. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of him. And when I'm working with another alcoholic and I sound just like him, without opinion, taking him to the book or to the steps or to God. So it's a beautiful thing, that relationship. Find that tight-lipped person. Listen well in AA. That's who you're going to do your step 5 with. Step 5 is a great step, man. And when I did my step 5, I was free. And every time I do an inventory with another man, it's, freedom. And then we'll go into 6 and 7 tomorrow. It's just that simple, man. It's not any hocus pocus, and that's it. You find another man, you dump your shit on him, and then you go do 6 and 7 by yourself and your God. Just you and your God. And it's that simple, man. Then you've worked the steps, Then you get to make an amends list and make your amends. Then you're going to be at a whole nother level. And if you're lucky, you get to do this the rest of your life. Sober. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. I'm sorry I'm a little flat tonight, but I'm tired, and I want to keep making these videos. We had a record day today. I was on the phone. I walked into the house with my brother, and I sat down at the computer, and let me show you something, guys. Guys don't give a shit, but we got 1,600 views. It was like a record day. So it's 1,600 views. I don't know if it was a day or 2 days, but I haven't checked it for a couple of days. But we're kicking ass. Tomorrow I'll have a new count. I think we're over 6,000 views now. So we're probably close to 7,000 views. So, and I wanted to hit 10,000 in 90 days. We haven't even been. You know what? It's been 62 days. So it's been 62 days, and we're at, it's going to be around 7,000 views right now. So that's kicking ass. I'm really happy. And so I'm helping people. And I know I'm getting help myself. So that's how it works. So Remember the Impact Foundation, LA.org? There's an Energizer bunny named Vicky. Never stops, never sleeps. She just keeps going, going, going. And she started the Impact Foundation when she lost her son, Chase Malone, to an accidental fentanyl overdose. Chase didn't know what he was taking. He was poisoned by the cartel. He was taking a drug that should never have killed him. And he took a lethal dose of fentanyl because the cartel is pressing this stuff into pills. The drug is cheap. So it's getting produced in China real cheap, and it's getting flown over to the cartel, and the cartel is pressing all kinds of pills, and they're killing our American youth. Fentanyl overdose is the #1 cause of death in the United States from the age of 16 to 45 years old. And that's the wheelhouse, man, for the United States. So it's sick, really sick. And we're just letting it keep flowing through our borders. Just keep flowing through the borders, right? Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of politics because it's crazy, but I sure hope something changes here pretty soon. I heard that some progress was made with the fentanyl. They've come up with, I don't know if it's an injectable or a pill you take, but it cuts off the fentanyl to the brain, fentanyl effect to the brain, and you can't OD on it. And they said it's going to be another 2 years before it's out. And I heard that from a news source. I think it was a pretty reliable news source. It was like one of the major networks or something like that. I'm into so much of this fentanyl stuff, I don't really remember where I hear it from, but that was a reliable source. But it's 2 years away. So we'll lose a couple million more youth, okay, before this comes out. We got the pandemic shot out real quick. Trump did his job and got that shot produced really quick. And why can't we do it with this? It's killing more people. It's going to kill more people than the pandemic did. So if we wait 2 years, I think it's killed over 1 million this year. 1 million people. So, anyways, you guys, Vicki lost her son. She started this Impact Foundation, LA.org. Helps people with that can't afford it and that need help. Mental health issues, addiction issues, grief issues. It's coming from a good place too. She started it from her heart, and she turned that pain that she felt when she lost her son, all that inward pain, into outward love and joy, and dedicated her life. And she dedicates most of her time into helping people and to getting this thing fired up. So if we could help Vicki and donate, go on the Impact Foundation, LA.org, hit the donate button, donate $5, $10, anything you can give. Remember, we got to give in order to receive, and this is a great thing to do. Vicki doesn't drive a fancy car. Vicki's car breaks down all the time, and she puts a couple 100 miles a day on her car. And she's doing it to help people. So if you can help us out, that would be really cool, you guys. Remember, ImpactFoundationLA.org. Hit the subscribe button or hit the donate button, and you subscribe to my channel. Thank you.